6:30. Call to be in order. First order of business minutes of previous meeting, May 21st, 2019.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any questions, comments, corrections on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 3A, public comment. Any members of the public like to comment or anything this evening? Gender review.
Yes, we have 5 appointments and resignations under number 9. I have a few informational items.
You may have noticed this was supposed to be a goal setting meeting for the evening. The agenda got a little larger than expected, so we get the goals and we want to discuss that.
Well, that makes sense. April's not the inspiration. Like all the years.
Yeah. All right, gifts and donations. Someone has one.
I thought, do you want me to have it, or I can for me a copy, so I have it for me. So NHIAA awarded $1,600 to the Life of an Athlete program to go towards keeping the program going.
Motion to accept.
So moved.
Second. Questions?
So essentially, it helps promote healthy choices and aversion from drugs and alcohol for athletes in school. And if an athlete goes down the wrong path, so to speak, it isn't a traditional one and done. They rather use restorative justice technique to, have the student take accountability for their actions, but also there's a restorative component to it where they eventually resume playing with the team. So it's all about preventative, but there's also a consequential to it as well.
Got a question?
Well, following up on that, is that optional for the athletes?
Well, I should say that it's optional for the school to take part in it, but if the school does implement it, then the athletes who participate would fall into that jurisdiction.
Okay. So it's not optional for the athletes, that as part of being a PA athlete, they are committed to it.
Correct. And there is some sort of documentation that the athlete is given and signed off on, and they acknowledge it.
Sounds terrific. Congratulations.
Anything else? All in favor? That's good.
You have a request, 2 requests for child rearing leave that are pretty straightforward unless you feel the need to talk about them in non-public. Tomorrow we can.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Was it in here?
Yeah. Oh.
And then there were resumes.
They're not in there. One is paternity and one is both child rearing. One is for the dad, one is for the mom.
Child rearing. They're both for children.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna have questions regardless of what athlete.
Okay. Hold this off until after.
No, I want to put the question back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, substitutes, what do we need?
Yes, they'll both require substitutes, and one, I think, one of them is for 2 weeks, and one of them is for September to November 12th.
November.
So one for about 2.5 months, one for 2 weeks. Do we have substitutes available in house, or is something that has to look for certified folks?
We have a sub list. I'm sure Paul will do his best to try to get certified subs, but that's not always possible.
Right.
Well, especially but that's our preference. Yeah, so 2 weeks, I doubt it. The others will certainly try. That was hanging in there.
Oh, yeah. Any other questions? All in favor of approving separation?
My generation. No,
Don't go that
unless,
way.
yeah.
It has been a long week, so I apologize. Childbearing leave. Thank you.
You're looking
Yeah.
further down the list,
Yes, I was actually, exactly what I was doing.
Josh, prepared some wood bids for you, those are in there. He is here. Questions? There's, North Country procurement for 58 a ton, Fort Mountain trucking for 59 a ton, ECM logging and wind clearing for 45 a ton, and seasonal forest products for 44.50 per ton.
Josh's recommendation is, leave it out. What is it on?
Thanks, Josh. Question?
Can I get a motion to,
motion
accept the
to
recommendation? Okay,
Second.
okay, now you can.
Have you used them before?
We have,
Susan?
yeah, we've used everybody on that list but North Country.
Okay.
But we send it to the same companies every year. And Quizno they're very good at what they do. They're in the wood business, not just wood chips, but all across the board.
Yeah.
And I just feel that the low bid is a respectable price.
Yeah.
And that's still up $1 a ton from last year. So we're paying more, but they're the lowest, they're respectable.
Other question, like, do you know why the other two are so much higher?
In my 5 years, I believe, pricing this out, I've never seen such a gap. It's usually much closer, so I don't ask, I send it out to them. They send the prices in blind, and I recommend to you guys, and you guys approve it. So, never seen that type of gap before.
Everyone good?
Okay.
All in favor?
There's, 3 quotes, to survey the village school, and those, I apologize, but Josh has been working, or he could get those in one did come in today, so I'm hoping we were able to check in, or you can get it now.
Do you have a recommendation for us?
I really don't. I think they range in numbers. I think they're all respectable companies. And from my interpretation of the quotes, they're all pretty close and similar to what they're actually gonna accomplish. My only fear is if we're gonna go just price-wise, one is 50% lower than the highest, and that's always a fear of mine. With that being said, all 3 of the companies came highly recommended.
Just, I don't know if anyone looked at it, Holden Engineering Surveying came in, lowest bid, 40, they're pretty large surveying company and larger, reputable. Got every.
And they scope it out, I mean, the 3 of them are pretty similar to what they're gonna accomplish. They're gonna pin the 4 corners, they're gonna survey the land, and anything else is gonna be an extra charge for land. They're gonna show where the overlap of our neighbors are on our land, but they're not gonna solve that for us in the initial, that would be an extra.
Right.
So.
Essentially, they're gonna survey it out, put monuments in as needed.
Yep.
So we can see what it looks like, they'll provide us with a plan, showing
None
what
of them are gonna go house to house and put pins on every single one of those properties. They're pretty much going 4 corners and showing us our 10-acre parcel.
Are they gonna show us where we're impeding on others, or they're
They're
impeding on
gonna
us?
show that, they're not gonna solve that.
They're gonna show it on a plan.
Yeah.
So we get a chance to see that if we're,
Everything will be documented for us to look at.
okay.
Yep.
No, they're all.
I think they're all in, but one came
It's,
in.
one's in an email.
One's in the email?
One's in the email.
Yeah, because I can only find two. I'm looking at one of them, I'm not looking at the other. One I'm looking at says that once we finalize the contract, they will have everything done within a month. Do the other two bidders give us a time frame for when the work is accomplished?
No, this one does not, but it will be placed on a schedule accordingly.
Below this, like,
Exactly, and that's, to me, I think, pretty impressive.
I mean, months seem very reasonable.
Yeah, well, I like the idea that you're saying it'll be done in a month, as opposed to open-ended.
Yeah, that's right, it's like Gene just said, it says placed on our schedule accordingly.
Right.
No idea what that means.
Right.
Well, what it means is that they're busy.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, that's what I do right now. You place on a schedule accordingly. Yeah,
When I get to it, I get to it.
pretty much. So,
I mean, is that a concern, that the one that has the lowest price also can tell us it'll be done in a month? I mean, maybe they're not busy.
or,
Pretty big company.
Big
I don't know
It's
anything
been
about it.
around for a long.
Probably more than resources. You know,
Right,
I think that
that's my
contract, they put that
Right.
3 or 4 crews.
I
I just
did,
happen to see them every morning.
Yeah.
and I didn't
Stop
go
a couple
to,
of times with them every morning.
what's that?
I didn't go to any of the smaller companies on purpose. I tried to go to the ones that have been around. And all three have been, and all three came recommended.
And the high from Bartlett, looks like number 98, 99, you know, specifies that they're putting a lot of research into it, not only just surveying, but, that you'll probably have a better idea where the encroachments are either way than you might with the other two bids. The one from, I can't pull up right now, the mid bid there in the 6,000 range.
Yeah.
That was, I didn't like that bid, because it's not really a bid, it's more of a little quick note.
Yeah, so that was an informal quote,
Yeah,
that you didn't have time to put it
there's
on.
no upper limit on pricing, this kind of says, this is the price. So,
Well, this is the price and it could change once it gets to a final quote.
no, I mean, on the other two, you're pretty much looking at formal quotes now.
Right. With the high one being some add-ons for extra bids, and the low one pretty much just saying we're going 4 corners, we're gonna put it on digital,
Yeah,
and go from there.
But still research at the county registry of deeds, I don't know what else you would need.
so the high bid also, talking about the scheduling thing accordingly, is, you know, the 48 and the 66 are in the same, basically the same ballpark. That one is out of the ballpark right now, based probably on that they may be so busy that they don't wanna do it, they're pricing themselves out.
They were the first ones to respond though, and the quote was in my box within a couple days. The other ones, keep it in consideration, so we need some work to call, and I still have other ones out there that were coming in today.
Pleasure.
Motion to reaccept the understanding that they can turn it around.
And it's specified within a month of acceptance, right?
Mhm.
The last line.
Yes,
From the time the fellows proceed with the work to the time that we deliver the bill, it will be approximately 1 month.
Yeah, so we could tell them tomorrow they'll be done, you know, July 10th or so, so. I agree.
Any other discussion? No.
And-
And,
Okay, all in favor?
I,
We have some fund transfer requests from Josh, some things that have come up. I asked him when we spoke about them to give a little word, about what they were and why he needed them and why they may not have been budgeted. Right now, your year-end balance is, just the Fund One budget estimated at about $463,000. Revenue right now, excess revenue without the tuition is around $200,000. We're in pretty good shape.
What was that second one, sorry?
Well, it's not, it's
200,000.
at least 200 in excess right now, but that's not counting the things we're waiting for. Just estimates of it.
So, there's 4 things on this list, people want to take these one at a time? Okay, that's fine.
It's in an email.
I've got my paper copies.
Will you be letting us know what the ratings are on the costs being requested?
You're saying that, we just didn't allow.
Yeah, that's fine, I just-
I got it. Yeah. Yeah. You think we're supposed to just make the read?
Yeah, that's fine, I just wanted to make sure.
Do you want a motion for all, did you just say that?
However you guys would like to take it, I will just want to let people know what they are.
make a motion that we address these separately.
That's fine. Everyone okay with that? Okay, so first item is renumbering the middle school, for $1,000, which was not, planned during the original budget season. This will put numbers on the outside of the building, that's,
Inside the classroom, outside in the hallway, and it would give us new numbers or letters on the inside and outside of the doorway as well.
does that account for getting on the outside windows of the building? Or is that,
That's already been done.
that's already been, that's already, okay.
So we did the numbering of the windows on the outside, we completed it here at PA and the Hill School, and we're starting the process at Three Rivers. We did that with, paper and our printers, as opposed to buying custom windows.
Vice President, can I get a motion to approve first item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve, item number 2, garage doors for the barn at PA, $1,900. This is the garage doors, I believe, out at the athletic barn.
Yes, they are.
Down they're old and can be inoperable.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion? $1,900.
These are in need of my daughter's. Like now. I mean, they were in rough shape and the kids are breaking in now.
All in favor? Item 3 is licensing of Birch, $2,782. Someone has to help me, it's obviously a software program or something.
So the birds are our wireless outlets, which we're plugging any given item into it, like projectors is one. Printers are another, vending machines. It allows us to create a wall, say at 6 p.m., so that printer's not on all night, for lack of better words. we did these with the Honeywell project a couple of years back. Well, unfortunately, now we're being told by Microsoft, that they're no different than a computer, because they're their own individual item or piece of technology, and they each have to have their own individual license. So this is a one-time fee, to allow us to proceed with the birds. If not, we have to unplug the birds because Microsoft doesn't collaborate for their licensing, whatever.
Microsoft is pointing to us. Okay.
Yeah. The question wasn't, when they were installed, that wasn't a necessity?
It wasn't on the list, no. We didn't
About
see
the hardware, we didn't have a
We
license.
didn't see them as an individual computer. Honeywell didn't see them considered as an individual computer. We could turn our eye to these and not go after them, but with all the upgrades and the changes that Microsoft is bringing upon us for the security aspect of it, we're now saying, and we went to them and said, is this considered? And they said, yes, it is. It was either a yearly fee, a one-time fee, or turn a black eye and not be secure.
Because they could go down at any time, or?
Because they're run through a server
Okay.
back in our server room, which again has to be licensed through Microsoft.
And this comes as a recommendation from the new tech director.
Yes, it does.
Good motion.
Oh, motion to approve.
Second.
Any other questions?
I guess, I don't know, Patty, do you know any history of this, or how long ago we got these, or? I'm struggling from an IT guy standpoint, because there are, if I'm understanding what these devices are, there's a million of them on the market, there's a million different vendors. I've never heard of having to license anything for, I mean, I've got 12 of these in my house, and it, works off the company server, and I understand there's differences in enterprises like this, but, I'm just interested what exactly the license fee is even for.
The license fee is because they determine that they figure each individual bird is no different than each individual computer. So each individual computer, we need to have a license through Microsoft with.
For the operating system. So
For operating.
they're claiming there's actually an OS or being licensed on these devices.
With that being said, I don't.
And I'm not trying to question you,
We are.
trust me, I know a lot about Microsoft equipment,
Yeah.
so,
That's my interpretation with Josh from IT, who came to me, and brought this up. It's also going on with our heating computer, our DVC, which we have to upgrade because Windows 7 is going out. We have to go to certain platforms to be secure and be licensed as well. So it's not the only item we're seeing. We just plan a little bit better on the heating side than we didn't see this coming.
Anything else? All in favor? Enthusiasm.
Yeah. You want that? Reluctantly?
No.
All right, the fourth item was a plow for the John Deere tractor for $3,300. It's a new tractor we purchased last year, mid-year, if I recall.
Yes.
Plow attachments we use for sidewalks during, snowstorms and to help with secondary cleanup.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion.
One person gets slips and falls on the sidewalk, it sometimes costs a lot more than $3,300.
What's used now?
Right now, we're using a grade blade, so we're going backwards, or we're using the bucket, and we'll continue to use a grade blade because there's many storms where that works efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also using a snow blower on our secondary machine. We believe the plow specifically for small storms, it takes up the same amount of time for an inch as it does maybe 5 or 6 inches, and with a plow for 1 inch, we could be done very quickly, more efficiently, getting sand and salt on those sidewalks
my question, just as clarification, because I'm still new. So, Patty, the numbers you gave at the beginning were making say we're in pretty good financial shape.
Yep.
I think that from previous discussions, plenty of money to cover warrant articles, above and beyond. I'm wondering, is this something that could be purchased out of one of those trusts if we decide to not fund it now? The money goes into the trust at the end of June, and then could the purchase just come out of there in the next year, which we have plenty of time before winter gets here?
You know, a lot of the equipment, it could potentially come out of the equipment truck at a later date.
So is there a pro or con to doing it now versus in September? Does it matter?
Yeah, it comes out of different pool of money.
Okay.
That's all, it's just a matter as to which pool of money you want to take it from.
Okay.
Okay, other questions? All in favor? I can ask one more question. Is there anything else out there, Josh, that needs to be done? This is the last meeting we're gonna have to allocate any money. Is there
They
anything?
can always use pavement, and I know we bring this up every year,
Use what?
pavement,
Oh.
fresh pavement. I'm not really prepared to fully talk about that, but again, we have some rough areas we know about. We started to see, we redid the CIP plan last year in preps of coming up with big dollar items like that, like pavement, like food top units. But if you ask me one thing, I would say pavement.
Nothing specific.
Three Rivers Road specific, we're losing that pretty quickly. And if I was gonna do Three Rivers Road, I'd probably ask to do their, staff parking lot as well.
That may be out of the, that, this cost is probably,
Yep, in the FAU area as well. I probably wouldn't say the FAU area this year because I would hope, as you see with the polls out here, maybe in the future, we're gonna have something else coming out there, which would take care of all that at once. But right now, if you were to ask me one area, it would be Three Rivers Road.
Remember we put money in place for the fund?
Not for TAR last year. I don't know if we put other money in it, but the TAR money didn't end up going in.
I mean, for this year, this past warrant, I don't recall. No?
I don't remember.
Okay. That will probably have to wait, Josh.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Phil? Is that
I think that was it, right?
separation benefit? The plan?
Yeah. You want me to start the convo or?
No, sorry.
Okay, so, we had been discussing, adding something to the principal's contracts regarding a separation benefit. The teachers currently have a separation benefit in their contract. Principals have never had it and have had to negotiate individually upon retirement. We are looking to add it to their contract so that it will be there. The language that has been proposed and is put out for any public comment, is that a principal who has completed 16 years as an administrator in the Pembroke School District with a minimum of 5 completed school years as principal will be compensated 60% of their final yearly salary, 25 sick days at the per diem rate, provided the principal has accumulated 120 days, 80% of the single plan, if they're age 60 or above until they're 65. So, that's the gist of it. A little bit more language, but.
We can public comment.
Nope. So you, yeah, you had asked for it to be on the agenda and put it out, to make the public aware that it was being considered.
Should we motion to approve?
If you're ready to do that tonight,
People ready to
Yeah.
approve that? We have discussed that the last few meetings.
Patty, could you go through those items one more time?
Sure.
A little slower.
We found about someone.
Yeah, we can find it on the,
oh, it must be on, last
Probably on
month,
Golden Drive.
the last meeting.
Okay, maybe it's going to be before that because I checked.
I know it's tough for.
Right, we talked about it.
I think this one back, right? There you go.
Yes, I'm all set.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion or?
If you both would like to make a motion, I will accept one.
Motion that we approve the proposal as currently,
Drafted.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Couple of those motions.
Wait a second. Any other discussion?
Question.
Question?
What's the minimum number of years that a person has to be employed, that an administrator would have to be employed by Pembroke School District to be eligible for this?
5 years as principal.
Right,
But
but,
you hired him as principal, 5 years.
okay, for some reason, I thought that there was something about 10 years or something else, and I wasn't really sure what we were looking at.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said 15 years total.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
You're right.
which is why I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it, so I just threw it out there.
So served as an administrator for 15 years with a minimum of 5 completed school years as principal.
The minimum.
Yeah.
So somebody could be an assistant principal, a teacher, a curriculum director.
10.
So minimum of 15 years, 5 must be as principal.
Right, so it's 15 years as a Pembroke district employee. Now, is that an SAU 53 employee, or is that a Pembroke school district employee?
Yeah, this would just be for Pembroke schools.
Okay, so then somebody who maybe had 5 years teaching in Epsom came to, TRS and was an assistant principal for 3 years, would need to accumulate 12 years as principal.
Right.
Because the time in Epsom didn't count.
That's correct.
Okay. So it's 15 years as an educator, 5 of it in Pembroke.
15 years in admin.
No, 15 years as
So
an educator,
We had served as an administrator.
15 years as an administrator.
That's up to you
Yeah.
guys. That was-
I do remember that. Here,
Yeah.
I think we did talk
it's
about
in my
that.
email, that's what I saw.
Oh, okay. Wow,
Yeah, so we have to, that has to go on there.
so 15 years as an administrator in Pembroke.
Minimum of 5 is principal.
Just wondered if it was like steps, like,
Wow.
About too high, Pat? Is that you thinking?
Yeah,
So you were thinking an employee overall, and then X
I was
number
thinking
and then
a professional employee.
Someone like, Amy Parkinson's been in this district, anybody know? 17 years already, she made principal, she went to work about,
Correct.
is what you
Is what I'm thinking.
which
Again,
may be okay, I mean,
rewarding loyalty, I'm thinking 15 years in a district in the 20s, that's a long time.
well,
I'm okay with that.
you know, we're talking retirement though, not like moving from job to job.
No, we're talking a separation.
Right, so when they're retiring, how do they qualify for that then?
Yeah.
So they would
It's
qualify,
not just a separation, it's retirement, and separation could conceivably be considered.
anybody that leaves, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Any mechanism. So, yeah, I would be okay with 10 years is pretty cool. 15 years total in 40 years in the Pembroke School District, with a minimum of 5 being principal.
A certified employee, that we.
Yes, it would be a teacher or,
The certified employee of
well,
the
no,
Pembroke School District.
it can't be, well, no, because parents are certified,
But
No?
right? I know.
No, not
No,
all of them.
not many of them are.
Really? God, they beat them with a whip, or I don't know. But seriously, they must.
I'm not certified staff. Anyways,
And
it rolls into administration, certified staff, moving into administration, into the principal's role.
So-
it's a progression,
Yeah, it'd be,
we expect a progression.
Can I read what I have in the insurance?
Yeah.
Pembroke principal who serves as a certified employee of the Pembroke School District for a minimum of 15 years, with a minimum of 5 completed school years as principal.
and they would be entitled to
They may qualify, they must notify by November 15th, and would qualify for 50% of their annual salary, 25 sick days if they accumulated 220, and 80% of, a single insurance plan for, principals who are age 60, and they retire until they're 65.
and that's limited to one per year.
One per year, right, and they must notify by November 15th, that way you can plan for it.
One more little.
I got one too, go ahead.
Not to make this even wordier, but, so Pat brings up a good point that there are such things as paraprofessionals that have certifications, so should we say full-time certified employee?
so they may do that also full-time. Fair, no, that's true.
I mean, if they're certified, they work their way up through the ranks from a paraprofessional to a teacher to administrator to principal, God bless them.
Yeah, that would require more than 15 years, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's okay.
exactly. Honestly.
That would make, takes a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, sorry, hang on a minute. Now, must this principal actually be hired?
I think we
Let's
talked
say,
about
Paul puts in his 15 years and decides, well, a great job how he goes in Portsmouth and goes, is he eligible?
We had said, I think we had discussed that, and that was you know,
I think we talked about that.
That kicks in, there's something that kicks in at 60, that's the healthcare.
the healthcare.
The 50% salary separation and the sick leave by that 25 days. I think if you want to attract and keep some people,
I just bring it up for discussion.
yeah, no, I don't see a problem with that.
And the only thing that I would, you know, if they're moving on is the health benefit.
Right, but that would be at 60.
Yeah,
If they happen to be 60, and they want to do 5 years in Manchester or whatever, they'll hustle. I'm okay. People all right? All in favor?
Are we amending it? Current statement?
Yes.
So,
As amended?
Yes. Well, I think as interpreted, yeah, as amended, sure.
As amended.
Yeah.
Who seconded?
I'll second
Jean.
it. I did?
Alright.
Oh,
You're all right with these?
as amended, yeah.
Okay, all right. All in favor? Yeah. Item 3F, 1920 handbook discussion. Paul?
So I will yield the floor to director of curriculum.
Nice.
It's done extensive work to make the
Wow.
revisions you request.
This is, other duties as assigned. So, you have the document that Patty provided you. We did make some additional edits to that, in response to your feedback, and that is noted with yellow highlights. So, for instance, if you go to page 3 of that document under earning credit, you will see that there were 3 items, that needed to occur in order for students to earn credit. We have, taken away the 3rd item, earning a minimum grade of a 2 on a midterm and final assessment. Everyone at that? Everyone there? Okay. So that would be taken away. Interestingly, we actually had a conversation earlier this year to get rid of what we call our demonstrates essential knowledge competency, which is the competency that teachers would put in the grade for a midterm or a final, and because it's not really a competency. And so what would happen is in a culminating assessment like a midterm or a final, there are chunks of that assessment that work on each competency. Then they break up and they go into each competency instead of standalone demonstrated essential knowledge. So that in of itself kind of took care of that, but this language remains, and that needs to be taken out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving on, there is, I believe, one more. A few pages down. Under graduation requirements. You'll see some purple bolded text in yellow highlight, and I'll just read that. There's actually some red text in strike through about that says students must pass their senior English course in order to graduate and participate in the graduation ceremony. Recovered for senior English is offered after the graduation ceremony. That is being replaced with students must pass all academic requirements, including having passed senior English in order to graduate and participate in the graduation ceremony. Reassessment for final assessments can occur prior to graduation. However, the recovery of 2 or more failing competencies, not solely caused by the failure of the final assessment, can only occur after the graduation ceremony. If there are extenuating circumstances, the headmaster will review these instances on a case-by-case basis. The headmaster's decision is final and cannot be appealed. So part of that language in the middle there, we do have instances where students are pretty far off in terms of meeting the expectations for the class, and recovery in a condensed period of time, like let's say a week, is not going to be adequate time to cover the material that has been missed. And the threshold that we felt was appropriate for that was they were failing 2 or more competencies. That seemed like a significant enough amount of achievement that needed to be made up that it would take longer than let's say a week. So also we wanted to again mitigate the impact of a final assessment, and that's why we added the language not solely caused by the failure of the final assessment. So if they are passing, let's say, all of their competencies, they do poorly on that final assessment, and that causes them to fail 2 competencies, they could be eligible for recovery still. We're again trying to just make sure that that final assessment isn't sinking them in the 11th hour.
2 questions, but I want to start with one at a time. What about the student who's failing a competency going into the final, does well on the final, and exceeds the competency expectation on the final? Is that therefore mean the student has that competency?
So let me just see if I got this right. So they're failing the competency prior to taking that final assessment. They do well on that final assessment and are at the end passing that competency. Is that?
Yeah, because if you're measuring,
then we're fine.
She can't fail on it.
can pass on it.
Right, yeah, so then therefore, if a student goes into final, passing all the competencies with a 2 or above, they had a bad day, or whatever, so the final can make you fail all of the coursework that you've done to that point.
No,
For that competence.
yeah, that,
Okay, I guess I'm not reading. Okay.
so what we've said is, if a student is passing a competency, they do poorly, like in your example,
Right.
they do poorly on that final, and then they're failing a competency after that. That, we're not going to, how do I say this? They would still be allowed to recover from that because of that one poor performance incident.
So then we're back to having a high stakes fine. Because
No.
students,
You get a second chance on the key, right?
but why should they need a second chance if they've already passed the competency?
Where we're not going to have a demonstrated essential competency anymore. It's just going to tie into their progress in each competency to begin with. So it will behave just like any other summative assessment would behave in that competency.
But they're teetering on the edge of the competency, they do poorly on the final,
Okay,
they
so
will
then
be given
some,
the opportunity to recover that before graduation, my understanding.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But somebody that's well below, has been well below, if it will be determined that they cannot reasonably bring
Right.
themselves up to an acceptable level in that short period of time.
then somebody who's doing well and doesn't do well on the final summative assessment, that is not going to negate their passing or meeting expectations.
Well, it would still factor into the grade for that competency, but we would work with them, because it's, so if I'm understanding.
Well, no, because what I'm not getting is, if you've mastered a competency, why is one summative? Why does one summative have such a large weight that it's possible that you could end up having the mastery that you did demonstrate not existing?
Well, we have very broad,
Can you explain it in better English than clearly I am?
I'm gonna try.
All right, that's
It's
fine.
not- it stop me if I don't have it.
That's okay.
So a student goes through the entire year, has demonstrated competency all along, he's got a 2 in everything. So hit it with-
Barely demonstrating competency.
Okay, 3.
Okay, here's a 3.
Okay.
3.
He failed the final, bombs the final. As long as all his competencies continue to stay at 2 or above, he's gonna graduate, no problem.
that's correct.
Okay. If he has 2 competencies that are 2s and he doesn't do well on the final, he's now failing 2 competencies and he's gonna have to win competency cover.
Yes, with the opportunity to still walk,
Yeah.
if he completes that recovery.
2, 3, 4, doesn't matter
I think
at
that,
that point.
I think that was
Does
the biggest.
that get the gist of your question?
No, I think mine is just more philosophical. I don't understand why we're doing finals if we're doing competency. If somebody's competent, they're competent. And if they're competent in March, and they're competent in February, and they're competent in May, and they break up with their high school sweetheart the day before finals, which some of them do, so they're not ready to take the final, they take the final anyhow, they bomb it, and now all of a sudden they're not competent. That doesn't make sense to me. They've already demonstrated competency, and they've demonstrated competency and mastery throughout. So for me, although, yes, you have eliminated a big portion of the, high stakes exam, we have eliminated the high stakes exam. And I don't know that we can, I just, as one voice out of 5, I don't like it. Or 1 out of 4, I don't like.
I think that description is accurate. I think we mitigated the impact, but we haven't.
Mhm.
And I think, I get where you're coming from, and this will sound colder than I mean it, but at some point, I mean, in life, right, we all hit things where we have to do a thing on a day where we all had a bad day or something bad happened the day before, and we still have to perform in one way or the other. So having some weight on that final assessment, I think, given the chance that there's recovery possibilities, I think is acceptable. I think this wording has taken care of most of the problems that I had with it, personally. I do have a question, and maybe you already covered this, I just missed it. So if the first sentence says must pass all academic requirements, and senior English is an academic requirement, why are we spelling that one out and spotlighting it?
I was gonna get to that.
Yeah. Well,
Can I ask a different question before you get to that one? Because we'll get there, I promise.
No problem.
Senior English. We define what senior English is.
senior English is, so we have a progression pretty much, right? Gateway, American literature, world literature, and then there are electives that seniors can choose from within our English department that include films, media evaluation, contemporary literature, college composition, and creative writing. So those all fit under the umbrella of senior English.
And those ones that you just rattled off are only available to students, correct?
Right, with the exception of journalism is actually another one, and, we do have juniors that can take journalism for the semester.
Okay, so, I know we've discussed, we as a full board not necessarily discussed this, but we've got students, and granted they're fairly few, that want to graduate early. By putting this senior English requirement in here, is it to some extent a trap for us? You're requiring them to do the English course during the senior year, when they could already be gone out the door, with the exception of this course.
So this language has been in there this year, and
I don't think we cared for it the last time we talked.
yeah, so we've worked with it because we've had students, in fact, third in the class, did a, directed semester, her final semester where she was taking courses. She didn't step in our building, she was done. And part of that was that she did, I believe it was an E-Start English class for that. So that's an option, there's an ALAX course that would also be an option. We've also tested college courses to count for that. So, we've had.
So a student that takes this as a relax in their sophomore summer.
I just approved that today. We had, and the reason is that this is a student that is taking his, all of his courses for his pilot license. He'll have his pilot license by the time he graduates. And part of that is that he has, he's taken half of a year of English at the college level in order to, and he's going to do the other half this summer in order to graduate early. Because he clearly, I kind of look up to him because he knows a lot more at his age than I did. But, he knows clearly what he wants to do. And part of that component is, you need 20 credits of English as a state requirement, period, right? And the way we do that is allocated 5 each year. But we will certainly work with students, as we are with this student, or, the third in the class last year, to get them to that threshold in a way that fits their larger life schedule.
Did you want me to ask the question?
I guess, sure, just why is that kind of spotlighted in that sense? It doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt anything being there, I'm just curious as to why we call that one graduation requirement out.
So, when I closed on a house once, the lawyer said, every piece of paper you're signing is a lawsuit at one time, right? And so, that language is in there because we went through, as you may remember, a couple of schedule changes, and one of which had block scheduling, where freshman English was 10 credits. And so the state requirement for English is 20. And so what would happen is, you may have a student that fails their senior English class, but they still have 20 credits because at the time they had 10 credits of freshman. they're still missing some of what we consider to be, core curriculum, with one of those courses under our senior English umbrella. So that's why that particular.
Are there still students in that situation?
Not with that, we may have students that are in that situation because they have remedial English credits that are in addition, but not because of that last program.
Conceivably, that could be out of our handbook within a year or two.
So, we may have students that have remedial English that have gone from remedial English to 9th, 10th, 11th grade English, and have their 20 credits of English.
Mm-hmm.
But this is requiring them to take one of those English courses that are in that senior umbrella.
Right,
So they would have to have 25 credits in order to graduate, they'd have to have 25 credits in English.
right. So they may, let's say they, take an English credit their freshman year, but they have a supplemental class to help get them at grade level, their freshman year, and then, we still feel like we want them to get, the curriculum senior year.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do we allow students to be exempt from final subjects?
I have a pretty few of them, largely because of medical issues.
I'm sorry, do we have like a policy, like at a certain grade level, certain performance level that students do?
Yeah, no,
Meets all of their competencies with distinction, are they required to take their final?
the only language we have that's similar to that is in regards to AP classes, because the AP
Right.
assessment kind of takes
But
place.
everybody else has
That's
to.
what,
And just not even a recommendation, but a food for thought. Once we're really comfortable with where we are, I think it would be nice if we could move away from final summary assessment and maybe get into performance assessment, strictly, presentations, or something like that. But in whatever carnation they're in, there's still, I
Yeah.
think, the kids that are going through a whole lot of emotional stuff. So,
I think we tabled this last time.
I'm willing to write that.
Okay. Motion to put back on the floor?
Yes, that's what we need, a motion to reintroduce it. As amended.
Second.
All in favor, putting the motion back on the floor? Motion back on the floor. Okay, motion, I got one. The motion coming on the floor is to approve changes to the 1920 PA handbook as amended. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? I vote yes.
Okay, I think, Pat has put the finishing touches on the very difficult to combine handbook, between the Hill and the Village School. I think last time we had talked to you a little bit about what we were doing and, still doing the crosswalk, finishing up. I'm not sure that there were other substantive changes other than combining and making sure that they were in agreement. Is that correct? Yeah, that should have gone today.
I don't think so.
It's a little crazy.
No, this would just come out. We don't have it,
No, we don't have it.
we're gonna have to have that meeting
Yeah.
anyways, we're gonna have to have that discussion.
Right, we have to do the goal setting too.
Yeah, that posted, I think we did.
I need a copy and share it with Kathy. Didn't get shared.
I'm not blaming
Something.
anybody,
I
we
apologize.
just haven't seen it.
We'll get it.
Okay,
Okay.
we all good with handbooks?
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay. Chevy?
So Josh, is going to be representing you, and I think with Jean, right, in July, are you going to get me?
Yeah.
So he took his, handy dandy spreadsheet that he had prepared that helped us with our warrant articles, and I think took a year off and added on a year, but I did it, yep. But he has everything mapped out, and traditionally, the board has asked to review this and approve it before it would be shared with the CIP committee.
Can I just get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion?
Okay, where it says, engineering of ADA upgrades. Seems to me a number of years ago that there were attempts to make your office accessible. And I thought that that amount was a lot more than what's quoted here. So we have an engineering study. I think the first thing that we're gonna highlight, or one of the first things, is going to be the inaccessibility of the superintendent's office. And I just don't see where that is addressed.
Please, Josh might have it.
Yeah, so that, years ago, we did have studies done on ADA and such. What wasn't done was sketching, drawing, architectural, so this is an allotment to say, we know we need A, B, and C.
Right.
Can we go to an architect / engineer to put it on paper, to see what it really looks like, as opposed to coming to the board year in and year out saying we need $100,000 and not really knowing what that means.
So then where it says ADA upgrades to above,
Yep.
So the actual construction process.
You're thinking the 25 and 20 is gonna be too low.
Oh, it goes, it's 25,000 each year.
Right.
Until we get to the amount that we need, it will be costly.
So, yeah,
yeah,
I was just looking at this, I think what we're looking at here is these are deposits into our trust fund in order to get us where we need to be to actually do these projects.
so then we're
For
thinking.
the most part.
Yeah, it will allow us to deposit and start chipping away at some of those projects that we need, but putting it all on paper before we even start thinking about attempting the project.
It does, except for what I remember the cost items were. I mean,
That's front area was over 100,000.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
That
why
came up when we were doing the village bill committee, that we talked a little bit about that too, and that, I guess that's where I'm going. I think I'm on board on your wavelength that I don't know if there's any legality after an ADA engineering has come through, but if there is, if they say this area is deficient in access, then you might end up spending that money a lot sooner than 5 years. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If we have to have $100,000 in year 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I guess just being honest with all the stuff on the list, it's really not trying to say we're gonna put $1 million every single year. It's trying to spread out some of the long-term items that we know we need.
Yeah, that ADA, we've already known about that for 3-4 years, anyway,
Anyways,
at least.
but
But we're no closer to getting that remedy than,
we are still accommodating
We,
as opposed to remedying.
you're right, we talked about that earlier this year, probably in budget, that it's going to be done, we're at.
I think Josh's point was given our revenue struggle and knowing that we weren't gonna be able to put huge deposits into our trust fund, he's done his best to spread it out over multiple years
Yep.
and multiple items.
Oh, I appreciate what's done.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I just going up those steps, those first granite steps, I mean, if we can get.
Today.
Yeah, I mean, that's dangerous.
I don't disagree with that, I think that's money we should have spent years ago.
So then can we make that a larger number, I guess?
We can do anything that we wish.
Anything you would like, absolutely.
You could do it 50-50, and the guys still don't think they're probably gonna be there. By the time all said and done, you're probably gonna be there.
We can move money to start depositing this year, whereas I have it for next year, we can go to a larger sum. It's strictly to the book.
I mean, you could do the 50 into the engineering, and you could do the 50 for the first deposit in 2021. That's what you chose to do. You may want to do something else out, or you might just want to leave it the way it is, but.
Or we could revisit that money you might have this year.
Or we could revisit the money, I mean, that's an ADA compliance disaster out in front of the, that's a new building, I mean, we talked about putting a new building up, I mean, earlier in the year.
A lot of wasted space.
But he brings up a valid point, I mean, we have funds to do that, that's an ADA issue that we know, potentially a safety issue that we actually have sitting in that actually you enter.
I guess I would like to at least, as a sign of good faith, for 21, 22, make that 50,000. And then if we do something, I mean, that will give us, because even if we are able to do something this year, we're not gonna get the whole project. We're not even gonna get a portion.
Or do you want to take some of the engineering piece this year with the money that we have in reserve, or, no, surplus?
I think that would be decent.
Set aside $20,000 for an engineering study, and we get that portion done this year.
I
Would
think,
you be able to get someone under contract before June 30th for that? That would have to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
All right,
That's
so
recorded.
we want to revisit that piece,
Okay.
which deal, I agree with you, Pat.
okay,
Do you want to push 50,000 for the ADA upgrades under 2021, and another 50, 21, 22? I have more tax.
sure,
I think so.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
I'll make the adjustment.
Do we have to vote on?
I was thinking more on the whole.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Now, I think I like floor replacement, exterior painting. Is that money you would expect to spend in the year we're actually allocating it?
Flooring is expected every year
Every year.
in my world. Painting just has been non-existent, so I just feel I have a lot to catch up on. So that would be expected, not necessarily those figures every year, but for the next couple.
But you expect it in the year we allocate it. So the 10 grand you have in 2021, that's not going to a bank account somewhere, that's getting spent for Jimmy's painting company.
Right, that'd be
In
saying
2021.
you would take your money today, put it in the fund, and I would use it next year, starting in
Yeah.
July.
Okay.
I think it was already said, but I want to reiterate, I very much appreciate the work you put in here, and planning out that far, the regular maintenance of these things is super important, so that we don't end up in, things failing. Good.
What is the design of the old main entrance?
That would be the new poles you see today.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that was added.
Okay.
With that, that's part of our safety and security aspect that we've been working on at the district. We have about 5 entrances and exits coming in a short period of time, on Academy Road coming off of Pembroke Street. We also have significant overlapping happening in that half circle, which is a fire lane. It's not even a means of egress, but for years it's been happening. And you mix in the foot traffic that we have on a daily basis, and we believe we've been lucky. And it's time to look at redesigning all that and what that means.
That project, were you thinking of taking that project out of our site improvement fund? I mean, the line earlier.
Yeah, so I missed that part on here because I don't really have a number to talk about.
That's where that money likely come from.
Yep, to put it on paper to then bring to you to say, absolutely, site improvements.
That makes sense.
In hopes of probably a year or two, depending how the temporary you see today works out.
Other questions, Mr. Yocum?
So school goes CIP August 21st, and the second date, August 28th. The whole process starts July 31st.
someone like to make a motion through CIP as amended? Sure.
Was part of this going to be taking out, when you vote, are you taking out the engineering out of this because you're intending to? Just so we clear what we're voting on.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Can I just clarify what we're doing for the whole thing?
You just had to make changes and we're gonna do it in the meeting, just like we did. Without the email.
How do you guys like this?
I don't want to do it now. I don't, well,
There's only
Josh
a couple, it's
will
up to
be
you.
meeting. Josh,
Yeah, you wanna,
I'm gonna remove the engineering of ADA throughout, we're gonna do that this year
yep,
for $20,000. I'm gonna add $50K to 2021 for ADA upgrades to above. And make 2020, 21, 22, 50K as well. And that's it, other than really adding a renovation portion of the project out here to the list, maybe without a dollar figure to start. But to say it's there and it's coming.
we vote on it now, then that way we can go with the engineering study of this year.
right, we can.
Otherwise,
that
we're
one.
gonna
Yep,
be next time.
okay, everyone good? Good question.
Motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we're there.
it's amended now, so it's.
Right, it's as amended.
As amended, okay.
Everyone good? All in favor? Yeah. Take a motion to authorize the encumbrance of $20,000 for engineering study for the ADA issues at the SAU. Hold on.
Not just the FAU, but any ADA that we're currently aware of, specifically at Pembroke Academy, including the FAU, to get it all in one shot.
Motion there.
Okay, so,
Second vote.
all in favor?
Under contract by June 30th. Go Josh.
So Josh,
We're not closing a building this summer.
let me know if you need a name. Oh, yeah. Create strange building discussion. I had this to put on here, Josh, can you just update us what's going on with Grange?
Yeah, so the Grange came to me about 3 weeks ago. Quite honestly, in my 4 years here, I never have done much with the Grange. I knew we leased it to them, and honestly, I knew we had a lease on file in my office. The lease has run out, we need to upgrade that and work on updating that, is number one. Number two, we own the Grange, we know we own the Grange. They do all the fixes, repairs, maintenance, except for out of the ordinary. So they came to me, they had opened the building up from the winter. A week later, they went back and the plaster and lap is still, the original plaster and lap is still there in the ceiling, which hit the paneling ceiling, which was added who knows when, which then dropped down onto the drop ceiling and has created quite the ceiling disaster. So this is a proposal to fix the drop ceiling, remove the paneling ceiling, and it doesn't really cover what's the issue with the lap is because we can't see the lap. So that solves 2/3 of it. And as I said to Patty in the email, I would ask for a contingency to be able to do something with the lap.
How much was the Josh?
Just under 7,400.
The lease is up.
The lease was up.
How much did they pay us? It's one of those $1 deals?
$1.
So the chauffeur study on the board, we removed trees for some ungodly amount of money, and now we need to put $700 into the ceiling.
We didn't remove the trees.
We did?
Unfortunately, in my education of spending some time down there over the last 3 weeks, is they removed the bad part of the 2 trees and cabled the rest of the tree. So by the time we were done, and I don't want to knock the past, but by the time we were done cabling the trees, trying to save them, we could already have healthy trees growing in this place. So we do have tree issues there as well.
I'll let you go, Emma.
So,
I'll get back to it.
If this is off topic, stop me.
Okay.
And this is maybe uncomfortable question, but in discussions of village school by prior boards, it was said multiple times that the school board is not to be in the real estate business. I'm not sure if we can dig up policy to find out if that's actually true or not, but it seems that this would be in conflict with that.
How old is that lease? Any idea? I'm not suggesting
How
at
old
all.
was the lease?
Huh?
How old was it? I think it was drafted in 2015 for 3 years. And we ran out in 18.
It was probably in existence
That was
before
us.
that though.
It was in
Yeah.
existence long before that. That's the only paperwork.
We
I have.
just refreshed it.
From my
Pretty much
records.
just refreshed it. I think that, I don't remember it coming in front of us.
Before my time.
So, we need to do $7,500 worth of work on the ceiling of the building, at a minimum,
At least.
and likely X number of dollars for tree work on that property.
Yeah, I mean, I
Not an
think
emergency, but
you could budget 4,000 for those trees at a 2-day job.
so we need to put $12,000 to $15,000 in the range building. Minimum. And that's not really fixing the ceiling problem.
That's not knowing what's going into the flat surface now, because you can't see it, it's covered up, other than what's dropped.
I
Patio.
I was just wondering if to your knowledge, is it just the Grange holding meetings there? Is that the only use of the building?
I believe there's some group in there that I can't honestly speak of. There's the Grange, but then there's like the Moose Club or something. It's not really, but they reference the group that has
Like, we
civil
bring basketball
on it.
back.
It does, that was just
Maybe-
What,
Maybe.
Basketball.
Like the
Yeah, the
compass, right?
Grange representatives to be referenced.
I hate to ask this question, but what if we just close the building? Tell Grange to go to the library and use the library conference room.
It is temporarily closed right now for the school district.
I mean,
We can add school board to that.
I mean,
Can we sell it? No, I mean,
Yeah.
why do we own it? Building off of what Andy's, where Andy's going, why do we own it and why don't we sell it?
I don't see.
I'm assuming that this is on
Historical,
Pembroke.
am I?
A very good question.
It's on Pembroke Street, it's gotta be a desirable piece of property.
Yeah.
Coming here.
Maybe those condos could do something with it.
Dr. Rose, she's president.
But, I mean, we're out of police, plus whoever in the heck else is using the place. We can put padlock in the door and keep everybody out. Yeah, do we need, if we do that, is there anything we need to do? Close it up? I mean, the trees outside, we probably need to make sure nothing can destroy the building.
I don't believe there's heat in that building. I could be wrong.
I don't think we do that.
There's obviously some water coming and going. I did see a kitchen in there. The trees would be an issue long-term, not short-term. I would worry that probably squirrels might be getting into an attic because of how the trees are placed.
I mean, I have no problem.
Other than notifying them, that would probably be the extent, and letting them get their stuff out.
I would
There
know-
is some history.
I'd have no problem taking a chainsaw to the 2 trees and putting a padlock on the door and calling it a day. But that's just me.
If
And then
the
putting
trees
it on-
aren't a current issue, should we just not put any money into it and then put it on the warrant article and ask the,
Yeah.
if they want to?
What they wanna do with it, exactly.
Well, I'm just more concerned that if we leave that vacant, we've got the trees out front, we're gonna allow vermin and stuff in the building, eventually the tree could get into the, get a thunderstorm, and could get to the building. That just sounds like the only pressing issue at the moment. If we have-
One is going over it. If you drive, the closest one to Concord, it's coming this way.
And maybe
The
we just
closest
select,
one to us is
select,
towards the top.
just, yeah, when you select cutting part that's hanging over, maybe not take them all the way out, but whatever needs to be done. And then just close the thing down, and I'm sure the Greens can find that there are other facilities in town that they could.
I think the tree furthest is a removal. It's not a select cut.
Or maybe we provide Josh a budget to do what's necessary with the trees to make the area safe and rodent free. And not renew the lease and put a padlock on it. mean, it's not educational, I hate spending money on a, it's a historical building, I get it, but I don't think that's necessarily a school problem.
So, or should we do due diligence like we did with Village and ask the town if they wanna purchase it?
Offer it up to the town.
Which could mean the historical society, if there is a historical.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, not the historic, yes, there's a historical
Well,
society, but
if there's
if the
value.
building has a historical record to it, then they may be.
what is the building? I mean, I know it's been Grange Hall for a long time, what was it previous?
The school.
What was
What?
it?
Schoolhouse.
What-
I'm not making it up.
Is there a one, is there a one-room schoolhouse over on the
Yeah.
property of, Town Hall? What?
Yeah,
We have two?
that was moved.
It was moved.
So we had two one-room schoolhouses down one time?
But it's probably more locations for that.
But I mean, I think the ownership of that property is better off with somebody else. I mean, from a historical standpoint, I mean, it shouldn't be the school district's task to maintain historical buildings in town.
Right.
We're tasked with educating students. If the town wants it, off we go.
George. One.
Do not put anything in that building.
That makes perfect sense.
Discussion, please?
Do we need a motion?
We're gonna need a motion to.
I move that we close the Grange Hall.
Okay.
And give Josh the funds necessary.
Out of surplus?
Oh, wait.
Well, I wanna be clear before we move on to talk, and then I'll ask my question.
Okay, well, I'll accept the motion and I'll.
I can withdraw if you want to hear more from Josh.
Well, so you're gonna, in theory, maybe allocate some funds to remove at least one tree, if not both of them.
We'll allocate,
And
$5,000
then you're
or
gonna-
something and.
You don't want me to fix the ceiling, you want me to leave it as is.
Right, nobody's gonna be in
It's
there.
not a safety issue,
Right.
it's not deteriorating the building any.
And then before I padlock the building, or I would padlock the building now, but at some point I would have to let them in a controlled setting to remove all those contents, because there is probably historical content.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that would
And
probably be done sooner rather than
Yeah.
later.
And then we would post a sign where the school board is closed, and we might draft a warrant.
Do you need more on this transfer over the time?
He's selling it.
Well, like Andy said, just to get a sense of the community, what they want to do with the building.
So I moved that we close the Grange building and allocate $5,000 for tree removal
Out of surplus.
out of surplus.
Second.
5,000 being out of surplus.
Can I get a padlock with that?
Yeah, that's part of tree removal.
Yeah, I think that.
I hope you're not doing
Yeah, I
anything in
know
the next
what
2
3
weeks.
That's a nice game tonight, Josh.
Indian will laugh.
Any other discussion on the Grange building? All in favor of closing the Grange building? Say
Aye.
Aye, as well. These people will get this week. So you'll notify the Grange, Josh?
Yes, I
You
will.
make that phone call in the morning?
Yes, I will.
Good job.
And I'll defer to the next meeting in August if they have big questions.
The pictures.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That was Gene and Ann, right?
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to.
No, I think it was Pat.
Pat, Gene and Pat.
Yeah.
Or-
Okay. 3I, Pembroke Downtown Joint City. Maybe one just added to the agenda, I think a status update and just information on it.
I was not able to attend the May 29th meeting, and my understanding was that Jody from Allenstown was also not able to attend that meeting.
That's great. So I attended the meeting, I think Tony will take this maybe.
Yeah, May 29th.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly discuss what we talked about there. It was about kind of forming the committee and things like that. And it was, hearing what they wanted. They asked me a lot of questions about how our initial committee went, and they've gone back and talked. I have an email from, I think, this morning regarding some of that stuff. I'll forward that to Dan, I guess, and see if you want to distribute.
Yeah,
Patty, whatever.
that'd be great, thanks.
And just for informational purposes. And then I didn't remember, and I guess I just don't remember, picking somebody to be on that, and Patty said that it was you. If that's something that you'd like me to take, I have a particular interest, just because I've been on those other committees, and I'm happy to jump on that one. That's something we need to do a reappointment, or does anybody care? I don't know how this works.
If you're gonna be an official committee member, you should be able to.
We should do nominate.
I mean, unless if you want to keep doing it, that's completely fine too.
I think we had chosen two people to
And,
sort of do the negotiations, but then they asked for one person to be part of the committee.
Carry it down to.
I was gonna say that I'd like to be part of the committee, but I also think that your insight into the committee work itself, I think that the negotiation piece is gonna be more different than the information and leadership piece that you could provide. So I'm wondering if we could do it as two, but I would be one who would do the negotiating and
I mean, I could even just sign up as a Pembroke community member, right? If that's our official.
They came, it's their committee, and they
Right.
came back and specifically asked that we only send one board member. I don't
Just
think,
asking.
I don't think you can
Probably not.
take that hat off on the committee.
Just checking, that's fine, we can keep doing it, that's 100% fine, just wanted to check. That's all.
Okay. 3J, goal setting, we're gonna push that. Push that to,
We should,
We're gonna have one?
do we need the principal? We went back and forth on that. I think we said yes, that's why we said for this meeting. The last few years, we haven't done it, but fundamentally, we board. Okay.
I would defer to the new members of the board as to whether or not they would want the principal there. My sense is that in the past, in the more recent past, we've tried to make the goals that were specific to the board and outside the domain of the principal. Because I think when we first got on the board, it was more like the principal's goal.
Yeah, telling them what to do.
Right.
Yeah, these
So
are gonna
then-
be your goals.
If these are our goals, they're ours. But that would be up to,
I would agree with that, I guess maybe I would add, if this is appropriate, if there were particular items that the principals had interest in, that they could get them to us in writing before that meeting, and so that we would have topics of conversation, that concern them if they have things, but other than that, I agree.
For like, broad type items?
Yeah, just.
Big overarching categories?
Yep.
Type stuff, okay. Good with that, Jim?
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Now we need to debate.
I want to do that.
And also a lot of debates that don't go.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to go. It does.
I'm actually good for next Tuesday. And a lot of it, I am.
Next, two after that, I can't do.
Yeah, June 20th.
No, I'm not.
I'll be out of town as well. I'll be out of town 21 through 26.
Thursday the 20th? Well, we can, that would mean next week, we have to do that. We don't need to be here, if we've done that,
Can we
you
get the
are.
building, yeah, is
Yeah.
that okay? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, well, everything's closed, we can open the buildings for a meeting that night.
I'm going to do it, the whole, closing that meeting.
Yeah, just during the day, we
We can do it up in, traditionally, it's been sweltering hot. We've gone to the SAU office for this meeting, since it's there.
That's fine.
Well, you're leaving the next
21st.
day.
I have something that night
Yeah.
too. I mean, sorry, I'm
No,
No, that's
looking at,
okay.
this is always difficult.
my family calendar has got them every single night.
I've got
I'm not
a lot of them.
exaggerating.
27th, then you're just getting back, right?
That would be, but that would be okay. I wouldn't be just getting back, I'm working that day, so that would be okay.
27th, then.
I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be there on Wednesday for birthday.
You should be okay with that?
Yeah.
27th?
Sure.
Sunday?
That's
6:30, it's, April's the only, 6:30.
We have a large crowd turnout, so it's a meaningful location.
Who was at the meeting that mentioned that they do theirs over breakfast?
Deerfield does the breakfast.
We've traditionally done dinner at this meeting. Am I correct?
You go home and have home for.
Somebody's home
We
cool.
had, well, we used to go up to the
Couple
SAU
years,
office,
yeah.
we used to get, pizza.
We can do that if you'd like.
It'd be nice.
Schools will be out by then, it'll be a little bit easier to get everything done.
Actually, we've done, you're right, Dan, we've done meetings where we've ordered, that's great stuff on those, steaks and stuff.
June 27th, 6:30, SAU office, open to the public, will not be televised.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Done.
perfect. Continuing business, board reports. Jolene is, graduating. Perfect. SAU board, Deckel.
We meet tomorrow night.
Fine, okay. Budget meeting, no word from them, right? Did they do their retrospective?
They
They
did.
did do it without us?
Yeah.
Case, anyone have an update on case of anything?
Graduation is Friday.
I heard graduation 9.
Yep, 9 till. Great.
Are they in the building? I say, are they in the
Yeah.
building?
No, not yet.
They're
No, I
not?
think they might be moving, but I don't think they're there.
Didn't,
Maybe.
people said they were in.
They were moving.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I don't think they-
Entire school, you get that done.
Still in.
It was, very heartwarming graduation, and I told Paul, some of the students specifically mentioned that Kate faced them, so each student is required to give at least, a 1-minute speech, when they graduate, so, and they, a couple of kids mentioned that, it was their guidance counselors at Pembroke Academy, helping them out and giving them the option to go to dates that they would like, they would have a graduation.
Wow.
And
Very moving,
College Town?
yes, one student is, talks about going to early childhood, she's currently, one of her, jobs in PACE was, at a early learning center, I think, or something like that, somebody else mentioned psychology,
Okay. Couple going on, that's great, that's great.
it's a little, kid we just hired at work actually graduated from PACE 2 years ago. And he spoke very highly of it. And he goes back, he's, went to the fire academy and went back and was his, my favorite teacher.
yeah.
And then walked around the school, you know, I guess he spoke to some of the kids there too, so.
Good. Principals. Tammy?
So today, we had our, first K through 4 assembly, our kindergartners and first graders, and staff were all bused to the hill. We had our assembly t-shirts on, so it was a sea of color and lots of music, and it was a really nice community building opportunity, good for our social emotional growth for staff and for kiddos. We have hundreds of boxes that have been brought to Village, and more dropped off today. Staff are really interested in doing as much packing as they can on their own rather than having the movers do it. But we're trying to leave classrooms set up until the last day and then pack up and be ready to go.
Okay. Question for Dan? No? Okay, John?
Been busy at Three Rivers. We had a outdoor concert. Very well attended. We, I believe, have about 200 musicians, Three Rivers, so we can chorus and band. We do a grand finale that has all of the students doing it. It's really impressive. We did our field day yesterday, which is a whole school event, run by the Gazette department. Frank really and Sue Hutchinson, they always do an amazing job with that. Today we got a road race, Mr. Mers and Ms. Martin ran that. We also today had our curriculum day where our project-based project actually was displayed for all the students, so all our students were able to see every grade level what they did. That came off relatively well for our first try. So with we do have our promotion ceremony Thursday night here at Field.
Yep. Graduated the class of 2019 on Saturday. Very successful day, and finals this week. High stakes finals.
High stakes finals.
Not long.
Just want to recognize Josh and Screw, did a fantastic job at graduation.
Yeah,
The place looked fantastic.
Jumping in a moment's notice as
Yeah,
well.
put our backstop back out. Someone caught the American flag at one point, yeah, it was, well done, thank you. Okay. Policy review, this was not clear, I know she liked.
Yeah, when did we-
She did some, editing to one of them, so, hold off on those. Informational.
Amber put a, enrollment update in the drive for you, I hope it was there, that ran too, it did, maybe.
I don't know if that is.
It might have gone into the last meeting too, you're, up 11 kids to the good.
Up.
Wow.
Wow.
Worked
Like
out
that.
well, yeah, good
Does it
projecting on her part.
increase in student population?
No, it's just that what we budgeted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so-
oh, okay, all right.
We
I thought-
anticipated X
losing,
number,
we didn't lose.
we could have lost 11 more and been okay.
Okay,
basically.
I thought you meant we
Yeah.
gained 11
No,
kids.
no,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
no.
Or something, no.
David is the
That must
moderator,
all
but
been the
not
same,
losing.
must all been the same folder.
Yeah.
In the next meeting.
Yeah, that one.
Well, yeah.
So I talked to Brenda Litchfield today from Concord Commercial, who's working with Jeff Keeler. She updated me, Josh probably has more information too. They are still working on, in the phase of exploring the value and having their experts come through, so they've done some touring, with Josh, with, an expert architect, somebody that works in subsidized housing, who's a developer, all different kinds of, groups to come in and say, in your experience, there's like a combined 42 years of experience in the room, what do you think? They're still doing, next week, they're gonna talk to, bring someone in, the expertise, somebody that works in tax credit or something. So still gathering that information, and then they'll be ready to give us an update. She had asked if you wanted a full presentation, or if she wanted her to present to Dan and I and have us share out the information too. So I told her we had a meeting tonight, and I would get an answer to that question.
I touched base with Jeff Keeler, we played phone tag,
Okay.
and I told him, a full board meeting, at least for that piece, for like decision making. You know, let's all get in the same room and hear what these things were, but whatever information they bring back, maybe down the road, we can allocate that to somebody, but at least for now, I think the whole board.
Do you want me to ask them to be ready for your goal setting
That
meeting at the beginning of that?
Great. Do you want to do that in a separate meeting?
I'm just thinking that it would probably be really good if that was publicized. I mean, if
Yeah.
I have that one
I
video,
agree.
you know, that I can hear the word transparency bouncing off of my brain. And I think that for the transparency piece, we really should have a meeting here where,
Yeah, I
you know,
agree.
folks, as many folks who want to attend it can attend it, and that it would be,
I can top up this one. I can top up this one on the 27th, not that bad. So, we'll just have it here and send it to
I
you.
think, and,
Yep.
Goal setting?
We'll do the goal setting again. Yep. And then we'll plan on Jeff Sealy.
right, yeah, then if they can do
This
it,
crew, that's it. Yep, we'll do them first, then we'll do the goal setting.
perfect.
All right, do you want me to get back to them?
Yes, you don't mind. Yep.
Just another informational item, Dan and Paul let me know that they will be waiting a year on the freshman and senior seminar model that they had spoken to you about. There's some logistics that still need to be worked out once Dan started trying to do the schedule, so that will not be happening next year.
The Innovation Academy.
No.
Seminars, freshman and senior seminar.
The Innovations Academy is the year after. They're just like that.
Non-public?
We have yes, because Pat had, no, she asked a question in public. We had some, nominations, so if you want to discuss those employees in non-public, we can. I didn't have anything else for you for non-public, so it's up to you guys.
Non-public?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And that under hiring, or do you have other issues?
Personnel.
Personnel, yeah.
Personnel.
Before we jump to that, number 7, public comment? Public? Yes, sir.
Yeah, nobody else, right?
Real quiet, man.
Saturday morning, 10 a.m., 373 Fort Range Road is a site walk for a potential very large subdivision of residential homes. So that could potentially impact you guys, just so you have a site there.
Yeah. Okay. Board of Trustees going to non-public session under New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3. Rule number 2, letters, small letter B. Roll call vote, Gene? Aye. Yep. And we're gonna need.
All right, I think we're good.
We good? Okay.
All right, so I would like to nominate,
Hold on, I'm not yet. I'm not ready. Yeah, motion to seal the minutes for non-public.
sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All fair?
Okay.
No, already, sorry, forgot that part. I'd like to nominate Sarah Evans as music teacher at Pembroke Academy and Adam Medicine as a PA science teacher.
Mr. Board?
Motion to approve.
Second? Second. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Okay, we have 3 staff resignations. I didn't do the name.
Yeah, why don't you?
Tim Herbert, from Pembroke Academy, Lisa Dow from Pembroke Academy, and Aaron Brochu from Three Rivers.
Motion?
Motion to approve.